So Casey getting some pickups has really helped. And now he's going to queue the Druid. I thought he might queue the Hunter here, actually, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's what? You take your good matchup or your bad matchup to get things going.
I mean, Casey's not the sort of guy you can pressure by getting it back to 2-2.
Yeah.
Some of the newer players, you might go, okay, first time on this camera. Well, it's probably Casey's first time on camera because he keeps losing in top 16.
Yeah.
No, joking. Sorry, Casey, if you're listening to the VOD. But yeah, you just play what you fancy playing.
But Casey, very clearly here, teching to beat the Druids. He's got Mossy Horror in there to fight back against Spreading Plague, which can actually be surprisingly devastating against Rogue, I find, because you would expect Rogue to do pretty well against Spreading Plague. It's obviously got fairly decent-sized minions, 4/4, 3/3s throughout. But in the later stages of the game, after you've made a whole board of 4/4s and they Spreading Plague you, it just takes too long to get through it. And then they're pushing forward damage with Malagos, which will often stick. So having the Mossy Horror in there to kill your opponent really nice and quickly is such a boon in this deck.
There is the Spreading Plague, but Psycho's not managed to get any mana ramp going yet. And Casey's hand is the hand that people like you sick people who play Miracle Rogue, absolutely dream of.
This is the juice. It's just, I mean, okay, so the perfect early game is a huge Edwin and they can't deal with it. But outside of that, it's just a 2-card combo of Thug into Strider, or even just Thug into Thug.
Thug into Weapon.
Right, exactly, yeah. Like, that's just how you beat the Druid, because now that Wrath has been phased out of a lot of the Druid decks, I believe Seiko is not playing any Wraths. He's not even playing the Ferocious Howl in his deck list to gain armor. He's got Taldaram in there instead. So very vulnerable to these early pushes onto the board, as Naturalized draws Casey into the Mossy Horror, which might be the counter to Seiko's one defensive strategy. He needs to pull things back.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about Biology Project, and we'll talk more about it, about when do you play it, do you play it, it helps your opponent. We forget that Naturalize against a deck like Miracle Rogue is just a night. You really don't want to naturalize anything if you can help it, because giving Rogue cards, they can abuse that so hard.
They can indeed, but I think it's way less devastating to do it before they've played Faldori Strider than after, because if you play Naturalize and they get 2 spiders out, they can attack with them immediately. It is so devastating for you.
Casey had Backstab picked up ready to go there, and then picks up the Strider, and it hits the table before the Backstab's dropped.
He started doing his turn before his turn had even started. It is absolutely absurd how quickly he plays Miracle Rogue. He just knows it. He just knows how to play it.
And there's no point in slowing him down, because I think it just puts him off if he starts thinking. Because all these players are so embedded deep into his subconscious by now.
It's like how some dinosaurs had like 2 brains because they were so big. Casey has like his normal brain to function, and then he's got like his Miracle Rogue brain, which is just like in his hand. He just sits there, like not really even thinking what's happening, just does stuff and wins.
Yeah, you're asking what happens. Like,
yeah, I just won.
And every time you sort of ask what you think of other people's lineups, you're just like, oh, they haven't got Rogue, they're not very good. It's like, it can be a weakness.
As it looks to me, like now, Branching Path though is the counterplay. That's the card that Seiko needed, because you can buff up the attack on your Scarabs to play around Mossy Horror.
You can.
That's the single card he needed to pull things back for him here, and he has to go for it if he wants to survive.
Yeah, and he doesn't really have much other play, of course. It's going to make it hard for him to progress, but with Ultimate Infestation in hand, we all know how that can end.
And I was going to bring this up at a later point, because I thought that Mossy Horror, I mean, I didn't think we'd be facing down a turn 7 lethal opportunity. But here, Seiko clearly realizing that is his out to pull things back here, because he's just so afraid of a Mossy Horror.
Yes, Casey puffing out his cheeks there. He's not impressed with this at all, surprisingly enough.
Yes. And even if Mossy Horror was not here, this is still a strong play. You're still putting yourself in a position where swipe off the top probably just clears the board.
Can Casey pull his second fan? I assume there's 2 fans. No reason not to in the current meta. More spiders and Edwin. So time to hack through as many of these as you dare. And you can get most of this done.
Yeah, he can get through the vast majority of spiders here, and then it puts Seiko on an opportunity where, while he may have weathered the initial storm of spiders here, which was a pretty devastating onslaught, he still needs to find something else to pull things back. This is not a winning gambit he's played here. It's just a way to stall the game out.
Interesting to see there. Casey actually waited to decide whether he wanted to eviscerate or play.
Oh my God!
You might be able to hear behind us what people thought of that pickup. It's quite loud in here.
That was unbelievable, as I think every player behind us seems to have indicated they were the one that made the swipe happen.
But we all knew it was actually you.
That is unbelievable. That is so sick. And to be fair, Seiko played to that out. The fact that he went for Spreading Plague into double attack, some newer players probably would have gone for armor gain or draw cards to try and find answers. That was the play. He made it, and he's being rewarded here. He might just win this game now.
Casey just hiding his head in his hands. He's lost so many top 16s, and if he loses this one, he's in
he needs to beat, what, Spell Hunter?
Yeah.
Which is a miserable, miserable matchup.
Yeah, and he knows it. He just cannot get a break in these top 16.
Oh my God. It had to be exactly the branching paths into exactly swipe.
And he also made a choice last turn where he could eviscerate or he could Edwin. He could have made a 6-6 Edwin.
A 4-4 Edwin. Oh no, he didn't dagger. If he didn't dagger, he could have made a 6-6.
So he had a choice to make, and he left it to the very end, and he did go for the not Edwin, which, again, was just a choice at the time that he took a bit of time over. But it's ended up with this swipe being a disaster. And Casey, that's the first time I've ever seen him react like that in the whole of Hearthstone. This has got to be getting to him, all these results just going against him in top 16s.
So we can go Mossy Horror, but he's still dead. He just throws it down. Casey, after one of the most devastatingly powerful starts and one of the most insanely unlucky turnarounds, loses the game. And Seiko, and someone's been eating their Weetabix this morning, I dare say.
I don't even understand the reference. I do, but I'm not going to sell Weetabix today.
Oh, fair enough.
But Seiko is actually, like, you can see the adrenaline in him as well. He's actually shaking slightly from that himself, because you heard the noise behind us. That's how pumped up everybody watching got. I assume you guys on chat just went nuts as well. Darrett went nuts. I didn't even notice. I was just